Hello everyone and welcome to the Grumpy Surfer Podcast. I am your host, Ads Lyson. This is the Christmas episode and for the first time ever I am flying solo. It's a week out from Christmas and I'd just like to say a very Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year. Hope Santa Claus brings everything that you want. I am currently watching the WSL Pipeline Finals in Hawaii. It's up to the quarterfinals. Itala Ferreira and Jeremy Flores are in quarterfinal 3, which I'm currently watching while I'm doing this, which is absolutely amazing. I'm a little bit pissed with surfing and the competitions, especially the WSL stuff. I love putting it on and just leaving it on in the background, whether I'm at work or at home. I'll wait till everybody goes to bed in my house. Well, everyone is now. Everyone goes to bed between sort of 8 and half 8, so I get a bit of free reign, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Christmas. It's kind of weird now because we're in a 4-tier system in the UK, which is kind of weird. I really don't pay that much attention to be honest. The bubbles that I always talk about, I'm in my bubble. I hate watching the news, it's so depressing, so just kind of ignore it a little bit. Surf on Monday, which was pretty cool. It was some good swell, really good waves. Sat up on the point, some really, really long ones. I think I did it on my watch, so I got about, 8 or 9 waves in a couple of hours, which was pretty decent. Really long ones too. I checked the Gucci Apple Watch, which said I'd done 180 meters, which is pretty long, I think. I don't know. You guys can judge that really. Which brings me on to my first sort of thing that I'm talking about, or want to talk about, is winter surfing. It seems, a few years gone by that there wasn't really that many crowds in the water in the winter. A lot of people just kind of did a bit of summer surfing, and now the lineup's really, really full, which is kind of shocking, really. But it also, goes in line with how quickly equipment's come along. Wetsuits, hoods, boots, gloves. You can be in the water these days. I mean, I've got a Tiki Zephyr 2 with a hood, and it's the best suit I've worn. I mean, I always wear Tiki wetsuits now. Have done for past 5 years, maybe 10 years, and they're absolutely amazing. I used to wear XLs before that, and the seams fell apart, so I needed to find something a little bit different. So the Tiki Zephyr. When I met Stu Pointer, who was on the a few episodes ago, probably 20 episodes ago, maybe. Man, that's a long time. 20 episodes. Yeah, he put me onto them, and I've been wearing them ever since, which is absolutely amazing. What I'm really, really stuck into at the moment is this pipeline competition and the women's Maui Pro. So the pipe's on at the moment, but for the first time ever, because of the shark attack over in Maui, over by Honolulu, the women's semi-final and final has been moved over to pipe with the men's, and I'm super, super stoked. I'm just watching Italo Ferreira now get absolutely shacked. Little backdoor umbrella going on there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting really, really excited about it, and I don't know why. It's crazy. I think it's just the fact that surfing hasn't been, competitions haven't been on for the WSL since it got cancelled back in March. So, everyone's missing it. But the pros have been putting out like the clips and the pro free surfers. There's loads of stuff on YouTube now, which I've been absorbed with. Torren Martin with the Needs Essential videos. I've been absolutely hooked into watching him surfing mid-lengths with those channels, and the twin fins has been absolutely amazing. I think the film I watched was called Lost Track, with him in, was absolutely amazing. And I think it reinvigorated my love and passion for travel and surfing, even though I've not been able to do it. I mean, it's quite difficult having 2 kids and all that bits and bobs that comes along with let's call it adulthood. But yeah, it's reignited my passion for it a little bit, and I'm just hooked. I can't turn it off. The only problem with it is because it is in Hawaii. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning their time, but it started 6 o'clock here, so it goes through the night. But I think I'm just going to stick it out a little bit. I don't know. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is we had our flow martial arts grading the other day. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. It's really strange because, training's been on and off with Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts gyms from March, through the 2 lockdowns and all the tier systems and the bubbles and all that sort of thing. And it's really, really strange. And the people that I thought would get graded and didn't. And it's really weird with the grading, being a purple belt and looking back on it and being in, the present as well. It's a really, really strange concept because you have this anticipation of going there and, I'm not going to lie. Everybody who goes into a grading, I'll call it a grading, your jiu-jitsu coaches or professors or whatever you want to call them, already know who's going to get what, whether it's stripes or belts or whatever. But it's still a really weird concept because, from day one, week one, when you start training jiu-jitsu, you get trained. It's not about, the belt. It's not about gradings. It's about the journey. I'm going to probably call horseshit on that because as human beings, we like to have gratification. We like to see that we're being rewarded or people are seeing you for the effort and time that you put into things. But yeah, this one was really weird. And Kenny, who's my coach, who's been on the podcast before, the first couple, within the first 5, he kept it really close to his chest. And it was kind of like, I wasn't expecting anything. Subconsciously, I probably was. But, it's really weird. You go into it thinking, you're just happy for everybody else. And I'll just explain a little bit. I came away from that, and at first I was a little bit sort of like, I don't know, taken back by it. And then I was a little bit angry because I'd put a lot of time and effort into it, I guess. But then I was like, dude, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, it's, I don't sound really corny with it. It's the journey, man. It isn't the journey. Yeah, it's what I was just saying there. I think it's just the self-gratification thing where you want people to acknowledge the fact that you've been putting effort in. Even if it has been intermittent, through this last sort of like 9 to 10 month period. It's really, really weird. But yeah, I just wanted to share that a little bit, I think. I think everybody goes through that regardless of whether you're a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt. I guess even black belt. I mean, I don't know, not a brown belt or a black belt. So I can't really comment on that, but everybody says it's about the journey. But yeah, I'm going to call horseshit on that because, everybody likes to think that they're doing well and likes to be seen to be doing well too. But just to cover a couple of things coming up in January. I've done 3 or 4 podcasts now, and coming up to January, I've got some really good guests that I've done these ones with over the last couple of weeks, surfing podcasts, and I'm super excited to release them because I've had some really good conversations with these guys. A pro longboarder, a guy who owns a distribution company for extreme sport stuff, who's a surfer, and also an editor of a magazine. So there's all that to come in January at the moment, which I'm super, super excited for. So yeah, this one's going to be a short, really short podcast, guys, if I'm perfectly honest. And thank you for everybody for listening and supporting the podcast. It is a big genre and a niche that I've got going, whether it's surfing, grappling, or military stories. But I'm hoping that the variety that I'm pushing out is interesting, and people are taking that on board. So, if you do like the podcast, please share it with everybody that you might think would like it. But also what would really help is by putting a comment on iTunes or on Google Podcasts, and rating the podcast would really, really help. It would get us up there with the top dogs of podcasting world, which means I can get more interesting guests. Not necessarily high profile guys, but, people would be interested in telling their stories. And that's the whole reason why I really started the podcast, was to tell people stories that wouldn't necessarily, write a book, or a high profile person that would put their story out there, whether they were a business owner or guys that kind of made it but left it at a certain point, or whether they're military guys and they've got a really interesting story, whether they've got something heroic, or they've been through some really hard times, and whether it be in wartime or just back in country, and getting through those situations and being able to tell their stories, kind of why I'm doing this podcast. So yeah, thanks for everybody for listening. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope you like and enjoy the podcasts coming out in January. Thanks for listening.